Nova Market Pulse time. It is March 5th, and we're answering your questions about the real estate market here in Northern Virginia. And we're doing so with stats that we're pulling directly from the MLS. So let's get right into it. So this is episode 6. And so we've been doing this for just over a month, which means that we can now look back and see how the year is progressing. So first question we're addressing right now is, do buyers have more options than they did a month ago? So beginning of March, do they have more options than they did in the beginning of February? And the answer is really, it kind of depends on what you look at, right? If we're looking at the screen right here, it appears that across the board, buyers do have more options, right? You can see every one of the 5 cities, counties that we cover has an increase in inventory, but there's always a but. These numbers are taking into account new construction. And so when we switch and we take a look at a screen that says, all right, how about strictly resales? What does the inventory look like? And it tells a very different story. It shows that inventory, when you talk about only resales, is lower than it was at the beginning of February. So 4 weeks ago. So why do we care whether or not inventory numbers include new construction? Well, the reason on this show that we make this differentiation is some new construction listings are what's called to-be builds. That means that the seller, the builder, may not even own the lot that is being advertised. And so this can create some phantom inventory. So we always want to separate whether or not new construction is included in the figures or not. And in this case here, you can see that the numbers, when you pull out that new construction, look dramatically different. In fact, instead of being up, more inventory than the beginning of February, they're lower. So this makes a big difference. So we know heading into February, it was squarely across the board a seller's market. Has that changed over the last 30 days? Looking at the numbers on the screen, the answer is a definitive no. All right. It is still squarely a seller's market. And in fact, in some areas, it's become a little more of a seller's market. Now, in next week's episode, we'll dive into, the condo question, and we'll show that, condominiums are a little flat, in some cases even favor the buyers. But when we just look at these 5 counties plus Alexandria City, we see that the conditions strongly favor the sellers. All right. How fast are they selling? They're selling really fast. When we look at resales only here, and we look at the median days on market for pending listings, we're looking at, a week to a week and a half is the number of days that a home is on the market. And keep in mind, this includes homes that maybe, allowed contracts to come in for 5 days. So maybe they got a contract the first day, but they said, we're going to review and do final and best in 5 days. And so that counts as a 5-day on the market transaction. So this shows really, really fast. So if you see a home this weekend and you fall in love and it's been recently listed, you want to get moving. You want to talk to your lender and talk to your agent about submitting an offer pretty much right away. So is there relief on the horizon for buyers in the forms of more inventory? Answer is yes. There are a significant number of homes in coming soon status. And that number, those are bigger than they were this time in early February. So we talked about phantom inventory in the form of new construction. But what about phantom inventory in the form of homes that just aren't priced to sell? Well, those numbers have come down, as you can see on the screen, which means that on average, when you see an active listing, it's more likely than it was before that it's priced to sell. But always, always, always talk to your local agent about that to get the answer to that question. All right, so what does this all mean in practical terms? Well, it basically means that the spring market 2026 is going to look a lot like the spring market in the last couple of years, because folks, we have an inventory crisis. Per this article, February 4th from the Washington Post, in this country, we need to build anywhere from 2 million homes to 20 million homes just to get at an equilibrium where there's enough houses for the people that live here. Okay, and until that happens, the supply and demand, it's gonna favor the sellers because there's just not enough supply, which means that we're at the mercy of interest rates. Well, that's where some good news comes in. Interest rates have come down. Over the course of these last 30 days, they've come down about 0.2%, right? You've probably heard on the news, if you're home shopping right now, that rates for the first time last week, a 30-year fix was starting with a 5. So it slipped below 6% for the first time in years. All right, so if you're out there looking for a home, looking to buy or looking to sell, you need to have a local partner. And that's where my company comes in, Stone Pine Partners. We know the best agents in all the neighborhoods across Northern Virginia. And so if you want to be armed with that local local expert that will help you buy or sell for the best possible terms. Go to stonepine.partners, reach out to me, and we'll do a no obligation check-in call, and I will connect you with the best possible agent. All right, if you're an agent out there and you're watching these videos and you're like, I would love to do videos like this, I show my agents that I coach through my company, Balanced Busy. So go ahead, head to balancedbusy.com and sign up for our free beta version of our coaching platform, and I would love to show you how to do these videos. All right, I do these each and every week, so make sure you subscribe so you're notified when my next video lands. And if you like this video, I would love it if you liked it, because that tells the algorithm that you think I'm cool. And finally, give me a question below. What stat do you want me to cover next week? And I will gladly work those in. All right, I will see you next week on Nova Market Pulse.